Hi, this is Kevin Trainer. Welcome to part 2 of my tutorial for the forms coding assignment as part of the Easy University project. In part 2, we are going to implement the update pages for each of the model classes. So I'm going to do I'm going to do instructor and section as we've been typically doing. I'm going to be following a checklist that I'm showing on the screen right now. It's kind of organized like the checklist that we had for part 1. Okay, it's got 6 parts, so there are 5 code-related changes, and then testing is the 6th. Okay, and when we've done instructor and section together, then I'm going to turn you loose to do the remaining 4 on your own. Course, semester, student registration. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing we need to do is to create the URL pattern for this page. Okay, so this is the instructor update page. All right, let's take a look at what that's going to look like. So let's go to urls.py. Okay, and let's see. Right after instructor create, we have an instructor update. Okay, now what I'm going to do for this one is I'm just going to take the code out of my already baked version. Okay, that'll move us along a little bit faster. So instructor update is going to look like this. So instructor create, instructor update. If I wanted to clone it from something, I probably would take the create and copy it. No, I'm sorry. I'd probably take the detail page and copy that. Okay, because the detail page is getting a primary key. All right, so that would probably be the one to clone. And I need to add instructor update up here, so I'm just going to do that. Instructor update. Where are the rest of my instructors? Oh, there's instructor detail. Let's add instructor update. Okay. All right, so that should take care of the URLs. Okay. And again, just to make sure that we took a good look at the code, make the code a little bit bigger, not that big. So this is instructor update. We're passing in instructor update as view, and then the name of this rule is going to be course info instructor update URL pattern. Pretty straightforward. All right, what's next? Number 2, add the get update URL method to the model class. Okay, so we're going to go to the model class and we're going to find instructor. Okay, and instructor is sitting down about the middle of that. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so we have a get absolute URL, and just after that we're going to put get update URL. Okay, and I'm going to copy the code out of my previously baked version, so you don't have to watch me do the thinking and the typing. And here's the get update URL. And let's take a look at that code. Okay, so get update URL. We're not passing in anything except a self reference to the object, which means that we have no parameters. And we're going to reverse course info instructor update URL pattern. And what are we going to pass into that? Well, we're going to pass in the primary key. Okay, and you'll remember is that in deference to the Django magic, we're using PK as the alias for the primary key of all these model classes because it turns out to be a little bit more favorable when we refactor to our next kind of view. It makes it easier to harness the Django magic on some of the views. Okay, so that's get update URL. That was number 2 in the checklist. So number 3 is add the instructor update class-based view. Okay, instructor update class-based view. Looks good to me. So I'm going to go to views. And I'm going to find instructor update. Instructor update is going to come right after instructor create. Okay, and I think we've got enough blank lines there. And I'm going to copy the code out of my already baked version. Now, this is where we're going to see some significant code. Okay, this is probably the biggest view just in terms of lines of code that we've had so far. And we'll take a look here, and let's use up the whole screen for a minute. Okay. So let's see, instructor update view. We have the form class is the instructor form. The model class is the instructor. The template name is course info instructor form update HTML. So we're going to have a new template that is going to be a little bit different than the one that we use for the create. Okay. Now, which methods are we implementing? Well, 2 that we're going to be able to recognize in a pretty straightforward way are get and post. Okay, and typically for a form-based view, this makes a lot of sense because again, just like when we're going to do the create, we've got 2 situations. We've got one where we want to, we're going to click on a link and we're going to say that we want to go to the update page. So we're going to click on a link and we're going to return a form. In this case, it's not going to be a blank form like it was when we did the create, but it's going to be an already populated form. So that's what is going to be implemented in get. What's going to be implemented in post? Well, once we have changed the form and clicked submit, we are going to the request that's going to come in from the browser is going to be a post. So that's going to go here. Okay. Now I see we need to add another import for redirect, and I've done that. Okay. What's this code up here? Get object. Well, this is a this is a method that is going to be shared by both get and post. And what does it do? Well, it gets the instructor instance, or it sends back a 404. Now for us, we're always going to expect to get the instructor instance because we're going to have clicked on a link that was actually generated from that instructor instance. So having it not found and sending back a 404 page would be pretty frightening. Okay, so this is a common code that's going to retrieve the instructor instance, and we call it as the first line in get, and we call it again as the first line in post. Okay, so we've factored out common code, good programming practice. And then let's see, on the get side, we're going to render a form. So we have a context. So we say the form is the self form class. The instance is instructor. The instructor is this instructor object that we retrieved. Okay, and then we just call renderer, and we pass it the request, the template name, and the context. And it's that easy. Okay? Now, you'll remember that we set the template name up in the common code that is a template name is a instance variable for this class. Okay, and all right, so all we've done here is to return a populated form. Okay, now what happens if we have when we get the form back with a submit and a post? Well, it comes back here. Again, we get that object. We bind the form to that object. We validate it. Okay, how do you validate it? Well, you validate it by calling is_valid on the form, on the bound form. Okay, if it's valid, then we're going to save. We're going to do a save on the form to get the new object, and we're going to redirect to new instructor, which is going to take us back to the instructor detail page. Otherwise, if we have an error, then we're going to, in the context, we're going to have the form and the instructor, and we're going to render the form again, and as part of the form, it will include the error messages that have to do with the reason why it wasn't valid. Okay, so this is our biggest view, class-based view yet. Okay, and hopefully we'll be able to find a little Django magic in later assignments that will give us an opportunity to replace that code with some kind of built-in Django code that can shorten it up. This is a lot to code, this is a lot to maintain, but it's what we're doing right now. Okay, so we got that done. So that was on our checklist. That was 3. Add the class-based view. Okay. Next, create the form update, the instructor form update HTML file. Well, again, what am I going to do? I am just going to take the instructor form update template file that I already have in my solution, and I'm going to copy and paste it in here. Let me get back my regular view. I'm going to copy and paste it in here with my templates in order to save a little bit of coding time. Okay, instructor form update. What does it look like? Well, it looks pretty much like the form that we were using before, except that it doesn't say create instructor, it says update instructor. So it's got a different title, update instructor. It's got a different message on the submit button. But other than that, I think it's pretty much the same thing that we had. Oh, and most of all, okay, most importantly, the action attribute is pointing out a different URL. It's not getting the URL for the create. It's getting the URL for the update. Okay, so could we clone one into the other? Yeah, I think we could. All right, so that's done. That was number 4. Let's go to number 5. In the instructor detail.html file, add the edit instructor link code. Okay, let's do that. So let's find instructor detail. Instructor detail. Okay. And you'll notice that we have this detail stuff, but we don't have any code here that we're going to be able to use as a link. So let's add the link code right after the H2. Okay, so we come in, we have the H2. And let's skip another line here. And let's paste this in. And here we just have the link to the update page. And again, how do we get the URL for the update page? Well, we've coded a method on our model class for get update URL. So we can use that wherever we need to do that. Okay. Now, the last thing on our checklist, number 6, is test. So now we're going to test. Now, I've got to tell you, when I was practicing this one, I a couple times, as I did all of them in order, all 6 of them, and 1 or 2 times I skipped a step. And of course, when I went to test it, it didn't work. So that might easily happen to you, in which case you're going to have to go back and do the step. So let's go to instructors, and let's go to the detail page for me, Kevin Trainer. Okay. And you can see right under the title with my name, we have a link for edit instructor. Okay, that looks good. And you can see the only thing to change is my name, Kevin Trainer. Okay, that looks good. Now, I just want to point out that I could change this. I could... let's say I want to spell my name Kevin. Okay, so I'm going to update that, and there's Kevin. Okay, and let's edit that again and take the misspelling out. Go back to Kevin. Okay, but let's go to instructors. The other thing we want to make sure is we don't accidentally change the name to be a duplicate with another name. Like, let's say we wanted to change me into Dan Hall. Dan Hall would think that was funny, but let's do that. Sorry, let's go back. So let's go to Kevin Trainer. Let's try to, let's do an edit. And let's say, oh, well, for today, we're going to call Kevin his old friend Dan Hall. Well, this isn't going to work because that's a duplicate. So let's watch. Instructor with this last name and first name already exists. And again, we don't have a cancel button to take us somewhere else, but we can just abandon it. So when we go back, we have both Dan Hall and the original Kevin Trainer. So that seems to have worked pretty well. We went through all 6 of the steps. So what's the next thing that we're going to do? Well, we're going to do this by cloning. Okay, so the second one we're going to do together here before I turn you loose on your own is section. And what I like to do on this one is I like to kind of clone these things so that that's the approach that you'll probably take with the remaining 4 when we're done. So what's the first thing we have to do? Well, we have to create the URL pattern for this page. Okay, well, how would I do that through cloning? Well, we don't need to test here. Let's go to the URLs. Okay, and what do we want to find? We want to find, we want to do section update. Okay, so how could we do this? Well, I think the best clone opportunity again is this section detail. Okay, that's what I'm going to clone. So let's go here. Okay, and it's going to go right after section create. I'll put in another section detail. So this one is going to end in update. So let's get that into the path. Okay, and this one is going to be section update as view. Okay, and then the name of this URL pattern is going to be section update URL pattern. Okay, look good. Okay, and then we have another name to add to the import list. So if I do it automatically, it gets kind of ugly. So right after semester detail, no, I'm sorry. Right after session, I'm sorry, section create, let's add section update. Okay, so good. That should clear the error that we had in our rule. We have section update, that's doing fine, but now we don't have an import that we need, but that's fine. Okay, now what's step 2 from the cloning point of view? Add the get update URL method to the model class. Okay, so let's go to the model class. Okay, and while we're on Instructor, let's just take this get update URL that we had here, and let's copy it because we're going to use it for cloning down on section. Okay, so it's going to go right after get absolute URL. Okay, let's paste this in, and let's see, what do we have to change? Well, we don't have to change this PK stuff because we're using this PK alias for the primary key. It's the same for every one, so that's good. The only thing we need to change is instead of the URL pattern being instructor update, it's going to be section update. Okay. That was pretty easy to clone. All right, let's go to the next one. Okay, so it says that we want to add the section update class-based view. Okay, let's go do some cloning there. So let's go to views. Let's do that. Okay. And we have, I think we're probably at the end of Instructor update. And let's take Instructor update and clone it into section update. Okay, that's probably the closest thing that we have. We're going to have to change a lot of stuff, but I think that's really the best we can do. So section details, section create, then we're going to have, that's not what I wanted. Let's get rid of that. Okay. So this looks like we put this. I didn't really put that where I wanted to. So I back that out. I thought I was in the right spot, but I don't seem to be. So I want to find section create. There it is. Section create. There it is. And now I'm putting it in the right spot. So now I want to take this thing that is Instructor update, and let's start changing it into a section update. Well, this is a lot of typing, but it's the best we can do. So the form class is going to be section form. The model is going to be section, right? The template is going to be section form update. It's not too bad. Okay. Get object, because we're using this PK alias, we don't have any code to change in here. That's nice. Okay, let's look at the get. Okay, we're not getting an instructor, we're getting a section. So let's change that. Okay. And the instance is not going to be an instructor, it's going to be a section. And then the name that this is going to be known by in the template is section. And the object that we're going to want to pass in the dictionary is section. Okay. Now that looks good. Now we just have to fix the post. Okay, we're going to make similarly changes there. Okay, the object is a section, right? The instance is a section. Okay. We don't want a new instructor, we want a new section. And we want this to say new section. Okay. Into the context, we want to call it a section in the template. And we want to pass it section. And then we should be okay. Alright, so that was a lot of typing. And that's largely because we just have a lot of code in that class-based view. Alright, so I believe that's done. So let's see what's left on our checklist. Create the section form update HTML file. Okay, so let's clone the one that we already created for instructor form update. It's right here. And let's clone that for section form update. Shouldn't be too many changes. Let's go take a look. Okay, well that didn't work. Oh, I forgot to change name. Sorry about that. Section form update. Tried to copy it over itself. That wasn't going to work. Okay, section form update. There it is. Okay, so it's not update instructor, it's update section. Okay, and then the action is not instructor get update URL, it's section get update URL. Right? And then down here on the button, it's not update instructor, it's update section. And I think we've done it. So, pretty good. All right. So that was number 4. So number 5, in the section detail HTML file, add the link code. Okay. And we're going to clone that. So let's go to instructor detail. Okay. This is our instructor. I'm sorry. I'm looking on the MAR monitor again. Here's the code that we added to instructor detail. So let's copy that. Okay, and then let's go to section detail. Section detail. Open that up. Okay, and we just want to add the code in, and we'll have to make some changes. So let's reformat it so everything has the right indentation. And let's see, we're not going to be calling instructor get update, we're going to be calling section get update. Okay, get update URL. And we're not going to want to edit the instructor, we're going to want to edit section. And that's cloned right there. Okay, I think we're done everything but testing. So that was step 5 in the section detail HTML file. Add the edit section link code. Okay, nothing left but to test. So this is the test for section. Now, let's see if this works. Well, that's a good sign. We're on the section list. Okay. Let's pick this 340.004. Okay. And we went to it, and look, we can click on Edit Section. All right. And let's, what can we change? Well, let's change this section name to 006. Okay. Let's see if that gets changed for us. Yep, that looks good. All right, let's go back to the sections and let's see what happens if we create a duplicate. So we have a 340.006 in 2018 fall. We have an 001. So let's try to change 006 into 001 and see if that's going to blow up. It should. Okay. So 006, we're going to try to make it 001 and try to update it, and it doesn't like that. Okay, so we're just going to abandon that, and we can see that nothing got changed. Well, very good. So the testing seemed to work just fine. So at this point, we've done part 2, we've done it for the instructor and the section. The approach we took for the section, it was kind of the cloning approach rather than copying code that I previously had typed in. So you can use the cloning approach for the rest of the model classes. So you're going to do it for course, semester, student, and registration. And then, of course, you have to remember for each of those, you have to remember to test. Okay, so you're going to do that on your own, and I'm going to see you again in part 3. Bye till then.